Yes, we'll go to Tim next. Tim Murphy, one half of media consultancy firm Jennings Murphy. You'll be hearing more from them, but Tim was a journalist for 24 years at the helm of the iconic New Zealand Herald for 14 of those years. And of course, we've seen plenty of change to the media landscape in that time. Let's find out how the media treat a PR fallout. Please welcome Tim Murphy.
I've lost the rostrum. Good evening, everybody. Thanks for coming. I also worked in PR 20 years ago, left the Herald and reporting after about 12 years. And it was therapeutic to me. It was instructive, and it's shaped and helped me right through my journalism career ever since, because I think I had another view, both of business and boards and executives, but also of how the news is perceived. And in this instance, we're talking tonight about disaster or crisis, reputation sort of issues in PR. I believe in many instances that the crisis is in the eye of the beholder. And I believe that now because I've seen it from both ends of it. I just want to talk about a few things that the media expect and hope from PR practitioners. This is from people internally in companies as well as from consultant agencies, from political PR and media spokespeople as well. And then I want to just show a video of one instance of PR where I don't think it was a PR disaster in the sense that it was public relations advisors that were at fault. It was a disaster for a family, it was a disaster for consumers and a company. It was a disaster politically, and it didn't work out with the legal and public relations effort. But we'll show a sort of a 2-minute video shortly on that. So when things go wrong in companies or organisations, the media will be most interested and most affected by it, depending on the number of consumers affected. So if a lot of readers, a lot of viewers are going to have some kind of takeout that this is bad for them, or this could be, what's happened there could be bad for them, that'll be a major story, and it'll be a story that the media will pursue. If whomever the organisation is involved in that story or that breakdown of service or customer product, if that organisation attempts to downplay, worse, mislead, or even worse than that, lie about what's gone on, then I think the media response gets accelerated and elevated to a point that there's a pursuit, really, of the truth. And it's something that probably goes on and can go on longer than it needs to, because people didn't start out addressing an issue fully, clearly and as openly as they can, and as timely as they can. So one of the other things with these sorts of crises is you need to make sure that one person, the most senior person you can afford, deals with it. You've got to say early, get to it, someone who can decide it's going to cost you way less in reputation and actual cost. Now, the example I wanted to show on here is from 2007. This is Mercury Energy. Many of you will remember it. This is Folole Mulligan, who died as a result of the power company turning off her power. There was an initial report on Radio New Zealand on Morning Report, and that was rare that Morning Report broke any stories then. Excuse me, Jesse, but it was. And the reason they broke it was because a family member was a member of a union who was allied to the PSA, which was the Radio New Zealand union. And he rang Morning Report and gave them the story. But it turned out, the truth of it was, the power was turned off, and hours later, by the time they could get through and get it help, she was dead. She had come back from Middlemore Hospital on an oxygen machine. Middlemore claimed that she didn't need the oxygen machine, but as it turned out, she did, because she died. Initially, with this, and before we get to this video, which is at the house through a certain point of it, Mercury took an approach to follow their legal advisors rather than their public relations or even their common sense or their humanity advisors, in my view. And the lawyers always say, you can't say anything because you could give away liability. You've got to really keep it close. You've got to just say as little as you can. Don't empathise, don't give too much away. Certainly express your sympathy for the situation, but don't go far. So Mercury started in a way that was very legalistic. It was very clipped and controlled, and really it went very poorly from there. They had the consumer view and the reader and audience view, which was, this is appalling. In New Zealand, someone's died because power was turned off over a bill they couldn't afford, and the systems are poor. This is just not right, and you can see that. But they also had not just the public opprobrium, they had the government of the day, Helen Clark's government, turn on them in an exceptionally harsh way, as that can happen, because it was a sort of a government which demanded no surprises from anyone. And here was an electricity provider of an essential service letting them down, and the government was being harried and questioned and harassed over how could you let this happen in this country. So this gets us to this point where Mercury decided, after public relations advice, right, we're going to go right on the front foot, and we will go out there and do everything we can to basically totally give way and show our sensitivity and say sorry and address the family directly and do all the kind of human public relating to your public views they should have. However, this didn't go well either, because Mercury's senior chair, chief executive and chief of planning, I think, turned up at the house. They were made to wait outside by the family who had others coming in a cultural way. They had others they were greeting and taking inside. They were made to wait in their lavas outside on the street for more than 2 hours and wait for their entry. So they were sort of stuck. And the media weren't supposed to be there, but of course over that length of time, with a major story, the media did turn up there, and TV3, Amanda Gillies of TV3, filed this report.
Wrapped in Samoan lavas, the Mercury Energy bosses looked pensive as they sat cross-legged on the floor of the Mulligan home. Just metres from where Folole Mulligan died 3 days ago, they told the family they understood their pain and then handed them a cheque for $10,000 to pay for her funeral.
I'd like to say thank you very much for your generosity in having us here today. We in turn salute you for receiving us.
We are deeply distressed by your situation. And I can only say that. I cannot find the words to say anything else.
The family accepted the gifts, but with a degree of scepticism.
And I hope you do understand the painful experience that we're going through right now.
I'd be surprised if they weren't acting under advice from a public relations company.
The family still believe Mercury Energy are responsible for Folole's death. A contractor cut power to the house, preventing her from using her oxygen machine. She died 2 hours later. Today, when the energy bosses turned up, they were forced to wait outside for more than 2.5 hours. But that was in contrast to a stony-faced Prime Minister, who was immediately whisked inside.
Everybody's devastated for the family in this terrible tragedy, and just to come around, we had hoped quietly, with no media, to express our grief and solidarity with them.
She snubbed Mercury Energy as she left, but was happy to tell the media what she thought the company should do. What do you think should happen to Mercury Energy now?
There has to be full accountability. We're still waiting for the full story to come out, but my advice to the company is stop digging. Before Mercury's cheque to cover funeral costs, the Mulligan family had met with their lawyer for the first time. They'd decided to seek compensation.
This was a sick woman with tubes from her nose, and you have a person who walked in, did something that no doubt gave her distress, worry, concern, embarrassment, all those feelings on a sick person.
They are seeking compensation now. How do you feel about that?
If I were in their position, I'd be hiring a lawyer too.
But Mercury Energy won't talk compensation. Compensation?
I just said I think we should all be showing respect to the family as we are today, and that includes the media.
The family has been inundated with other gifts and donations, but is upset that they have been accused of giving money to the Assembly of God Church before paying their power bill.
But there's no requirement. Most Samoan families do tithe to the church, though. That's how the church keeps going. It's a regular Samoan custom. I'm not sure whether this family tithes or not, but it would not be unusual.
But it's their power company that's facing judgment. Was their gesture of remorse genuine or public relations spin?
Thank you very much.
An example like that where a company can't control the media, they can't control the nephew who was the guy who went to Radio New Zealand, they can't control the politics. Now it's even more extreme because of the ability of everyone to go social, to go immediate, the 24-hour thing as well. So that imperative to address things early, compassionately, and with seniority and decisiveness is just reinforced entirely. One of the things I wanted to say was that the need post a crisis like that to keep people informed beyond the crisis is paramount as well. And from a media point of view, some people believe, some organisations believe, that if you can get through the first 3 or 4 news cycles of an enveloping crisis, that you've got away with it, or you can just then move back to normal business as usual. It's really vital that good organisations and good leaders decide to keep the flow of information coming, to keep the media briefed, to stop the kind of unravelling that we get. So thank you for your time.
Thanks, Tim.